Three Wise Men Still Figuring It Out.
Podcast.
We're hitting record, so
Let's figure this out. Let's get comfortable.
yeah.
Let's get comfortable,
Let's
guys.
get comfortable. Hey guys, we're back. I'm Chris. This is Josh. I'm with Jeff. We've got Katie Sutton here with us today. Katie Sutton is a best-selling author, intuitive channel, vibrational healer, and energy medicine teacher. She is the founder of Zen Within Academy and the new Earth Now School. Her transformational 12th dimensional healing modality has helped thousands of people reclaim their voice, their truth, and their source connection. She sees clients online and in person, hosts transformative workshops and retreats. You can learn more about her at zenwithinacademy.com.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. We're off.
We're off.
Katie.
Welcome,
Thank
Katie.
you.
Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When Josh asked if I would want to be on the podcast, full disclosure, he and I are partners. I was in the shower and I immediately had an idea of wanting to talk about how we make space for the wild, free feminine.
Okay.
And this is, when I talk about this stuff, I always like to have a few caveats at the beginning, which is when I say female and male, I often don't mean gender. So I'll try to be specific when I gender. I really am talking about energy and energy flow, and I mentioned that. And female and male energy is a spectrum. And so when I talk in generalities about things that might look like standard female energy or standard male energy within our being, know that it's a spectrum, so people's experience might be different. So that's the way I always like to start off when I talk about this. So when I mention making space for the wild and free feminine, what I really mean is how do we create space for that feminine, emotional, intuitive, raw, creative power in each of us, regardless of what our gender is. If we are making space for that, ideally we feel really lit up, we feel really engaged, we feel really alive, we feel really connected to Mother Earth, we feel really connected to Source, and we feel really connected to our community. What I'm finding right now is that I have a lot of clients that are showing up that are having trouble connecting at all with this feminine energy. And that is both male clients and female clients and clients that are non-binary. And so this energy has, in my perspective, been somewhat limited in our cultural norms in our society. I think we're a little bit afraid of this energy. I sometimes have male clients that show up and say, when my wife is moving through her cycle and she's really in her emotion and her feels, I don't know how to show up and hold space for that and not fix and not get involved in that and interrupt her process. And it feels a little crazy to me. Which, if you're a female receiving that, it's a really triggering thing. And so what I find in my own experience and in my experience helping my female clients is that when they are getting in touch with this raw feminine power again, that it can be very challenging for them to be in partnership and to explain to their partner that they just want somebody to be there and witness that process and not to get engaged in trying to solve or fix that energy. And this topic of making space for the wild and free feminine is something that I've been thinking a lot about because I am an empath and a sensitive and have been that my whole life and am learning more and more how to be with these really big feelings that come up that are not just mine, but are also what I experience from other people in the collective, and how to make space for that within myself so that it doesn't get projected anywhere else. It doesn't get misrepresented anywhere else. It's just something that I can move through in my own personal experience. And I recently went away for 5 days by myself because I felt like I needed the space to just be in my own energy and process these really big feelings that I'm moving through as I'm continuing to heal my bigger layers of trauma that are held underneath being a sensitive human on this planet. And really having a hard time doing that in a household where I also work and live and am in partnership. And trying to explain to my partner, hey, I need that space and it's not about you. And so that's really where this topic came from. So that was a really long-winded answer, but that's how I got here with this topic and why I wanted to talk about it with you all today.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the first thing that comes to me when I hear that is just to put it in perspective. Like, I'm curious how you would describe the raw masculine in contrast to that, just to get bearing on that?
Yeah, that's beautiful. So when I think of the raw masculine energy, it feels, I would use the word strong, powerful, aggressive can be the word in setting boundary and holding space and going to war or to battle if necessary. It feels like a really physical demonstration of energy to me, versus when I think of the raw feminine, there may be some physical component to that, but it wells up from within and comes out. But I feel like they're very similar, because anytime we talk in duality, the two poles are very similar. They're not that different. It just happens to be that we characterize something as more masculine when it's more in the doing or the action sense, versus the feminine, which is in the feeling and the being sense.
Flow.
Yeah, the flow. And I think you can be in the raw masculine and the raw feminine in your own being, right? Doesn't have anything to do with gender.
And I also think there's different levels to that, correct?
Yeah,
and
it's a spectrum.
You can kind of flip back and forth in those levels of masculine and feminine too as well. Can you talk about a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I am someone who I feel I tend to present in my energy field in a 60-40 split, where I'm 60% masculine and 40% feminine. And I would characterize my partner as being more balanced than that. I would say that he's more in a 50-50 split, which is a dynamic, right? It's a dynamic that means that sometimes when I'm in my role as a partner, as a feminine partner, there are certain tasks that I don't feel aligned with. There are certain things and jobs and responsibilities that I don't really like to cook dinner. It's not an easy thing for me, because I'd rather be doing, I'd rather be creating, I'd rather be kind of out and making things happen. And so there are certain things in that balance dynamic within you that might make you orient into showing up differently in partnership and in your own life, depending on how that energy is balanced. And then there are some days where I say that I'm in my soft place. That's what I call it. And I feel like I present much more in my feminine energy, and that is in the lead. And those are the days where I really don't want anybody to ask me to do anything. I really want to just be in my own space and experience creativity or something that feels like it activates that more emotional feeling part of me. And so as a woman, and even as a man, you go through cycles, right? And there's hormones involved and all kinds of things that feed into this that are not just what you're experiencing in your own being and what you're experiencing in the world.
Yeah, also thinking about it's coming to mind for me, there's two ways I'm seeing it, within myself, the masculine, or the male, female, masculine, feminine, and within relationship too. And I was thinking about how do I hold space or create space for that wild feminine within myself, but also within and partnership is what I'm thinking about with my female partner, and thinking about what does that look like, I think.
Yeah, and I think from all of the work that I do with people, I always, when they bring partnership stuff to me, I always take it back to, okay, what does this look like for you internally? Your thought process of how do I internalize this and hold space for this wild feminine within this real big emotion that comes up, or whatever these feelings are. As we learn as individuals to master that, I think that's where we then know how to do it in partnership or in any relationship, right? Because I have girlfriends that I need to hold that space sometimes because I need to step into my masculine. Maybe they don't have a masculine partner and they're asking me to hold that space for them, right? So if you are someone who is uncomfortable with emotion and big feeling and you have a lot of judgment about that, maybe you were judged for having those big feelings as a child, or you had a sibling, I see this a lot, that had the big feelings, and then you had to be the quiet, perfect kid, right? And so all of those things factor into your comfort level with this big emotion, right? This big feeling. And the thing that disappoints me about it is that I feel like when we don't have access to this, we also upper limit ourselves in our joy and our ecstasy and our pleasure and all the wonderful things. And we are afraid of that. It's not just like the big negative emotions that I'm talking about. It's all the big feelings, right? We have a lot of things that we like to judge when people are really excited. I'm thinking of Tom Cruise on the couch, like a lot of judgment about, he's so excited, right? And I know that's one silly example, but I think we have a lot of internalized bias about being really alive and being really in those feelings.
And I like what you said, that you come to your friends when they're having troubles and bringing your masculine. And I think with the men, bringing our feminine to a man to bring that to, they're going through something, and instead of being your masculine, that masculine energy of toughness all the time, but also bringing the feminine part of ourselves.
Yeah. And what I would be curious, because I'm not in a male body in this lifetime, although I have been many lifetimes in a male body, what that looks like for you when you're bringing that feminine. What does that feel like if somebody's coming to you and you're like, I intentionally want to step into my feminine? What does that feel like for you, Josh?
Bringing more of like the softness to it, I would think, when somebody comes to you with something that's going on and it's troubling, is instead of trying to fight that, is to allow them to surrender and be able to hold space for that person.
Yeah.
Fight or even fix.
Fight and fix. Yeah, you can use either words.
Yeah, because there's definitely, as you asked him, I thought, without a doubt, it's the gentleness, it's the compassion, the understanding, it's the connection. As we've had the opportunity to share with one another and stuff like that and relate in moments, it's amazing when you let that, and it's a flow, let that just flow. This actually made me think, a lot of what you're talking about, realizing that we're not talking gender specific, I would say for both men and women, this is something that's been suppressed for a long time.
Yeah,
And we're in getting back in touch with that is essentially a sign of the times.
Yeah. How could we have not gone through the last 3 years and not be doing trauma work now? We've all suffered. I use that term loosely. There's a spectrum. We've all had an experience of a worldwide trauma over the last 3 years. Something that came in that was out of our control on an individual level to the extent that we could meet that energy. And here it has basically activated all this deeply seated stuff inside of us. And we have an opportunity to, instead of just turning it back off and going back to being robotic and not feeling, we have an opportunity to actually allow that to stay open. And as we allow that kind of wound, if you will, to stay open, we have the opportunity for it to create a bridge between genders, between types of people. We have an opportunity for there to be a whole lot of compassion and grace and love, because we have this, I don't really want to use the word amazing because it wasn't amazing in totality, but this opportunity to meet in unity now. Right? Because we've all kind of been through this, and we all have a frame of reference for trauma and feeling, right? We all had feelings. We all had disappointments. We all had things that happened in this experience that was so out of our control. And so I feel like it's a beautiful opportunity for us to meet one another and to keep that space open and to hold that space for one another.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you can you describe for viewers or listeners what it means to step into your wild feminine, what that looks like?
Yeah. So all the examples that I will give probably will be things that I have personally experienced. Because before I answer that question, I want to state that I feel like we've been receiving divine feminine energy and codes for the last, I don't know, probably since 1987 in the harmonic convergence. And we're getting used to the feminine energy more than I think we are to the divine masculine. When people say, hey, talk to me about what the divine masculine looks like, it's a little bit harder to talk about. So from a divine feminine, wild, free feminine perspective, I think it looks like unhindered creation. That's what it looks like, I think. And for me, that could be art. It could be using my voice. It could be speaking. It could be writing. It could be dancing. It could be playing. It could be having a really big cry and emoting and letting my whole being feel the experience of that and not trying to hinder it in any way, and just allow that to create a new vibration and a new feeling inside of me as I allow it to come out. I think it looks like that. But I believe that a lot of our disempowerment comes from the fact that our feelings are so repressed. I can tell you at least 20 examples of times where I have been holding back emotion because I didn't feel like it was safe to express, or I didn't feel like it was okay for me to have that emotion at that time, and then allowed it, and then my whole being opened up and I had energy again and I had the desire to engage again. But in those times where I'm repressing that part of myself and not allowing her to have feelings, not allowing her to have a voice or to be expressed in some way that is safe for me and safe for those around, then I am zapped. I have zero energy. And that's an interesting thing that I see when I have people come to me. They're like, I don't know why I feel so flat and so tired. And I ask them, like, when was the last time you felt angry or sad? And they just look at me. And when I get into it with them, like their whole body is locked up and their emotional field is locked up and they don't have any sense of what feelings they're having in their being. And as soon as they get through that release, they're like, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. Like had the energy to be with my kids and get these things on my to-do list done and accomplish all these things. A lot of our vital life force is wrapped up in repressing that. It takes a lot of energy not to feel.
It's like holding a volcano down.
It is, yeah. Even the good things, right? Yeah. Like we tend to suppress. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting. As thinking, like also too, it feels like where the work begins though is within ourselves.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Learning to welcome and accept and hold that space for that wild feminine within ourselves, and as we get more comfortable or able to do that more, we can actually hold it for other people and the world. And it's so interesting when you talk about it too, it's just being that part of us being like shut down. Like immediately I get these visions of in the world too. I think about like the Amazon jungle is like feminine, like wild, or like nature, and how much we as a culture, society have tried to control constantly, controlling that wild feminine because it's unpredictable and it's dangerous and it's wild and there's snakes in there and it's wet and dark and dim. It's like
scary.
It's feminine, but it really feels like that's been such a thing with our culture collectively, you know, for a mass amount of the globe. I feel, at least our Western society, and Eastern too in certain areas. But yeah, just like that pushing down. It feels it's almost like you can only push that down for so long, and it's.
Yeah, that brings something to mind about, I was receiving a teaching recently in my New Earth Now school. I have guest teachers come in, and we had Ellen Kittredge who was talking to us about connecting to our roots and where we were, our place of birth, and she was talking about the nature spirits. And somebody said, hey, I was born in Manhattan and I have a hard time connecting to the nature spirits there. She said that's actually where the most powerful nature spirits are, because the way she described it, she said, think about how much they've seen, sustained they've had to be in their resiliency and their strength to exist underneath the concrete jungle. And yeah, you may think that you're taming her, but she just gets stronger, right? She just gets stronger underneath. And when I connect with Mother Earth, I think she's like that beautiful divine feminine vessel. There are all these things that happen on our planet that are examples of her letting that raw, wild feminine out. That's where earthquakes and hurricanes and the things that we typically say are tragic, and they do result in a big shift in humanity, right? But that's her kind of not knowing what else to do with that energy, and it's got to come out. Even the giant windstorms that we have here in Charlotte, sometimes we had one the other night, that's all that mental energy that we've got here in the city that's trying to be processed. She's got her own language that she speaks in the wild feminine. I love that you give the example of the jungle, because I think that's something that so many people can relate to.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I can also see it feels like nature, she's like mirroring what's going on within inside of ourselves. Even if we want to do our part to get in right relationship with it, just even the natural elements, everything is like working with that and allowing that to exist within ourselves is actually affecting all of that, the expression in the natural world being mirrored back to us.
100%. When she talks to me and I channel her and bring her into my meditations or my teachings, a big part of what I've had to work with is all this unworthiness of feeling like I'm not walking the shamanic path or the earth medicine path, like I'm in a city, like how am I the vessel to bring any of your teachings through, right? And she always says to me, like, it starts within you. Like all of these people that you're helping to wake up to their feelings and their emotions, that's the gateway to learn how to co-create with her and to learn how to take care of her. If we can't even feel our own feelings, how in the world do we think we're going to have love for her, right? I was born near Earth Day and around Earth Day, and I tell people all the time, we tend to shame ourselves into being environmentally conscious, but is that really helping her to the extent that if we actually felt our own stuff and did our own work and took care of the environment, like how much more space could we make for there to be a beautiful kind of unity consciousness and co-creative energy with Mother Earth, where we have all the resources that we need and we're working together and everybody has what they need.
Something that you just alluded to, it's a theme or an awareness that's been around for a while, and I've had it, but you just alluded to it there, and that's the fact that, I want to say this, the awakened nature of things, like the connection. When you do this work yourself, you find that peaceful centering place that allows you to connect with others in the earth with greater ease. And it's, as opposed to the shaming that you alluded to, you realize it's not a shaming, it's more of a remembering. I'm stepping into who I actually am, who we actually are, with a greater degree of ease that then allows things to almost flow better or easier. It becomes, dare I say, more effortless because you're just tuning in. And I allude briefly to, because we've used the term awakening repeatedly through this, versus, and I do this again for anyone who's viewing or listening, we don't consider ourselves awoke.
That's a whole lifelong journey.
That's a whole other topic, I think.
This is definitely a more natural
Yeah.
evolution, progression, what we're talking about.
Doing it as a person with feelings.
It's like when you go walk outside and you go touch, you feel the energy of the tree because you've sat in that space and felt that energy coming through. Going out and seeing birds fly and feeling the energy of the birds moving, the butterflies, those types of things.
A river flowing.
Yeah.
The sun on a day where you feel the energy of the sun and it changes everything.
Yeah, it's all feeling, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get in touch with, I just had massive deja vu. We've had this conversation on the astral plane. If you can get in touch with the wild feminine within you, right, allow her to flow like the river unencumbered, then when you're out in nature, that's a natural language that you speak, right? It's an easy language. It's not something that you have to try at. And then when you're in relationship with someone, if you're in that whole place inside of you, what I find, if I'm coming from a place of wholeness and I'm like, okay, I've created an arena-sized space for all these parts of me that I am less than proud of and all the parts that I am proud of, then I don't need anybody outside of me to create that arena. Because what I find in relationship conflict, when people come to me and they're like, you know, this or that, this person's judging me, even in my own relationship, when there's stuff being mirrored that I'm like, why is this happening in our partnership? It always comes back to, okay, where am I not making space and judging that part of myself? And if I can create a big, beautiful spaciousness inside of me that says, yeah, I can love that part of me that gets frustrated when things in the kitchen aren't cleaned up. I can love that part of me, and I can also talk to her and understand that she has a really hard time nourishing herself when she's busy. So when the kitchen isn't clean, she's getting triggered. And I can have that internal conversation, and then when I come to my partner and we're talking about this, I can say to him, this is why this is a trigger for me. I'm not just being a nagging you know what. This is a trigger for me because I'm having a really hard time being in peopling within myself and nourishing myself in that moment. And that's another energetic barrier, a personal example from our relationship. Yeah. And it's a little thing, but if I can be in touch with that part and give it space and hear her and understand that language of like, why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? Then my conversations with my friends and my family and my relatives and my partner and my community gets so much easier and better and more fruitful and more satisfying, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful the way you described that. The word intimacy kept coming to me, so almost like this intimacy with our internal world and parts of ourselves, and just getting to really know that landscape or that community of different parts too in a really intimate way of how they work and what they have troubles with and everything like that, and like really it feels like it's all relational. I feel like this really building these relationships and having that whole thing, and then that just expands out to how we move through external relationships too.
Yeah, I'd say most of my work with clients is in getting them to be able to have the emotional awareness and the internal awareness to be able to start having those conversations. I assign them tasks or homework assignments like writing a letter to that part of yourself, right? And or just being in working with the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you to those parts. Right? We're so quick to try to externalize everything, and that's great. Like, we're external beings, want to be in community. But if we haven't done that inner work, to your point earlier, like, we're not woke, right? We have a lot of stuff to work on in that inner work landscape. And that, to me, is the medicine for some of the things that I see in religion and in spirituality where we're bypassing the things that don't feel good, right? I think there's a lot of value in the things that don't feel good. They suck. Like, it sucks to feel that sometimes. But if you can make space for that, grief for me is something that I've walked with and I dance in and out of so much in this lifetime. And I had a therapist say to me one time, what would it look like to just make a space for that and let it walk with you? Instead of trying to resolve it and move through it all the time, because it was always there. But one of the things about grief is that it constantly breaks your heart open, right? It's not just about losing a loved one, it's about the things that you're moving through. And so I said, wow, this is constantly breaking my heart open so that I can be more heart-centered and more heart-led.
Heart grow.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that intimacy, to have that conversation. But there are a lot of great modalities that help you to start that conversation. So to your very first question that you asked me about, like, how do you make space for that, or how do you do that? I think there's a million different ways, different containers. But can you just start with the intention of, I want to know what I'm feeling. I want to be in touch with that, even if it's a really big feeling that's been repressed for a really long time, to be in touch with it.
Yeah, it seems the challenge sometimes. I think that's a huge accountability, saying, okay, I'm going to stop looking out there, pointing my finger out there, and really do that U-turn and be like, okay, let me feel into these things that I'm trying to, or I have habits of escaping from, or I don't want to feel the uncomfortable feelings, and take responsibility for myself, which sounds really wonderful, but in practice it can be challenging.
It is a challenge,
and tricky too. I think I know I can come up with ways of tricking myself and not even realizing that I'm not looking at something. It's these little systems, almost, I feel like parts of me have developed at some point.
Coping mechanisms.
Exactly, that distract me from
for sure.
seeing myself.
I was going to ask you, do you have any tools that you'd like to tell our listeners that's maybe one thing that they could take home with them from this process that they can do maybe at home, something that they can help them work on this process?
Yeah, I actually was thinking about this in the car on the way over here, and I'd really like to take us into an experience, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And so if anybody's listening to this and you're driving, please don't close your eyes if I ask you to close your eyes. So why don't we just center ourselves for a second and take a couple of deep breaths. And you're going to probably laugh at the analogy that I'm going to bring in, because we just had the Super Bowl here in the States, and what I'm seeing is a giant arena that I want you all to visualize. And it doesn't have to be a football arena. It could be a big open space in nature. And I just want you to breathe into the spaciousness of that place for just a moment. And feel that spaciousness in your body, and notice right away what in your being would like to soften and what in your being would like to anchor a bit more. And I always begin everything by asking you to open your bidirectional energy field. And so as you're visualizing this spacious arena, this big open space, I want you to drop down into the earth with your awareness. Imagine that you can drop a taproot from the center of your being down into the center of Mother Earth and just connect with her heart. She has a beautiful, unconditional, loving heart for you. And see if you can be in relationship to that for a second. If you have experiences of disconnection from your mother in this lifetime, or from the feminine, there could be some pain that comes up. There could be some emotion that comes up even in this connection. And so I'm just going to ask you to breathe. And if there is an audible sigh that you need to make to let some of that emotion go, I'm going to invite you to do that, and just Mother Earth to take whatever that energy is that says, I can't be in connection with my feminine. It's not safe for me to be in connection with Mother Earth. It's not safe for me to be in connection with my feeling. And just let that drop into the earth. And you'll move up into your awareness as that happens, into your heart, and you'll be again in this spacious arena, this open space, and you'll feel that open space in your heart. And I just want you to imagine that this arena represents your heart field just expanding. And so notice if you have a really small arena or a big open arena, and see if you can make it a little bit bigger. And from that place of openness, I'd like to invite you to now connect with your above space. And so perhaps visualizing the sun or a star, your own personal North Star above you, or a pool of light that represents your connection with Source, or the Divine Masculine, the Father energy. And send that light up and connect in with that beautiful pool of unconditional love that is now coming from your Divine Father. Feel that flowing into your body. And know that maybe there is some hurt or some wounding here with your own father in this lifetime, or within your connection to the Divine Masculine. Regardless of your gender, there may be some disconnection here with this energy. This is a newer energy coming onto the earth now. And so just feel this source self connecting here, bringing that light back down into your heart, and let that really amplify your arena space in your heart. Maybe that lights up the arena. Maybe it brings this beautiful expansion and this fire, this kind of increased form into this space in your heart. Just allow those two energies from the earth and from source to come together and create this big open space in your heart field. And then I'd like you to imagine in this heart field are all of the parts of you. I'm going to give you some suggestions, but you can bring whoever you want here. So I'm going to invite you to bring your inner child, your inner little boy or girl into this arena. Make sure that they have a safe space in this big open space. So you may want to create a very small area in this big open space just for them, something that feels welcoming to them. Visualize that, be with that, feel that. Imagine what it would be like to have a welcoming space in this giant arena for your inner child. And just allow that to take hold here. Welcome them in, say hello, give them some love. Let them feel the love of the earth and the love of source, of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the divine mother and father, holding this sacred space for you in the heart. And then I'd invite you to welcome in your raw feminine, all the parts of the feminine, the emotional parts, the intuitive parts, the sensitive parts, all the parts of you that are feminine, right? Whatever that means to you, this is unique to you. Whatever feminine energy means to you, make space for all of those parts. There may be a dozen or more of these parts here. And allow those parts to feel completely welcome. So make a welcome sign for them. Let them know that it's safe for them to exist here in this beautiful heart arena that you've created, this open space. And then I'll ask you to welcome in your divine masculine parts. Whatever you think of as masculine, I generally think these are the action parts. This is the mind, this is the body, this is the doing energy. These are all these tasks that you're able to do. These are your moments of brilliance within your mental body. Let all of those parts of your divine masculine have a seat in this arena as well. Make space for all those parts. And just take a nice deep breath as all of these aspects are here. We have the connection to the divine father above, the divine mother below, but we also have the mirror of that within this heart arena. The child being there, the inner child, and your own divine mother, your own divine father of that inner child are also here as a part of that masculine and feminine energy. And let all of these parts weave together as an energy. Almost am visualizing them coming together like different colors of clay, being molded together, woven together into this beautiful tapestry that is your heart. This is your whole being. Be in contact with that whole being and see if you can bring that whole being to the table more. What would it look like if you walked and created space for all of these parts to be loved and accepted inside of you when you walk out into the world? When you show up in relationship, when you show up in friendship, when you show up with one another, what would that look like? Just imagine that for a second. Imagine how easeful that would be for you, how peaceful that would be for you, how exciting that might be for you, how much you could feel, how much you could adventure, how much you could be in joy and curiosity. And just allow that in the heart. Just be in that space. Feel it, breathe it, know it, be it. And allow that breath to deepen. We thank Divine Mother and Divine Father energies, Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine containers for holding this for us. We thank your inner child for showing up. And we thank each and every one of you for being willing to look at this energy, because as each of you wakes up to this, you're doing your part to ignite unity and peace and love on this planet, which is so needed now more than ever. And so just bring that gratitude into your heart. And let that ignite whatever it wants to ignite. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's what it feels like to make an arena for those parts, right? And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. I don't know what that was like for you. I can tell you what it felt like for me leading it and what was coming through, but I'm curious what you experienced in that, and what you experienced when you felt that, if you want to share.
I can jump in. I'll kick us off. A sense of remembrance, a sense of deep, resonating calm and peace, acceptance, because we're bringing all of that together, all those different pieces, and saying, hey, it's okay. And that resounding just awareness of, yeah, this is who I am. And it's difficult to put it into words because but it's that deep sense of peace. It really is. It's a deep sense of peace. Let it out.
Yeah, really, the inner raveling of the parts and putting them, making it as one within yourself, because you are all those parts, and giving them space, like the stadium, and allowing that space to allow them to flourish and allow that energy to be there if it needs to be. That's what I got out of that inside myself.
Yeah, for me, it was, especially towards the end, was just a feeling of completeness, wholeness.
Wholeness.
That's a good word for it, for sure.
Absolutely.
And it was really great too, just picturing like my inner child, it's always a little 5-year-old little boy, and it was funny because I felt into him, and I felt curiosity, and then you said the word curiosity right then, but I felt that playfulness, my inner child, and like that curiosity and wonder and awe, and then the strength of the Divine Father, Divine Mother energy there too, and it just felt like a complete whole internal family. Felt really good.
Yeah, it feels good inside, right? And what I always ask people is imagine what that would look like if more people did that. Imagine what our world would, how much easier would our world become? Because so much of our relational difficulty is in that feeling of I'm not complete. And we all have our stuff, and we all have our baggage, and we all have our things to work on. None of us are perfect by any means, regardless of how many retreats we've been to and how much meditation we do. And so it's not so much about perfecting those parts that do behave badly, or that want to behave badly, but making the space for them. So that's that wild and free, right? It's in there. And so then when we're out in the world, we don't need to yell at the person in the drive-thru because they're taking too long to make their order, or whatever the silly thing is in that moment. To me, that's how we create that space.
And I like that picture of a big arena or some huge space. There's lots of space to be wild and free.
Reference,
There's plenty of room though. You're free. It isn't like a tiny little container. It's for sure. And when you say that, it would be so great if we could all just do that. It's just like, once again, like turning back within ourselves just for a little bit to do this, and not. Yeah, and it can make all the difference in the world, literally. Like, just to do that within ourselves and take our focus off of the external for a bit.
Yeah, be like the bear, go inward and hibernate when you need to. Make the space for it, right? Do that in your day-to-day experience.
Yeah, I think that was really good.
Thank you.
That's because you alluded to it a little bit, I'm drawing a connection here. The more you focus on the internal, which is our primary relationship. So I say that for viewers and listeners because you become aware of that after doing work like this long enough, because you realize as you're starting off on the journey, most of the time you've externalized and you're letting that impact you versus going internally, dealing with numerous things that we've talked about today, the emotions, the traumas, so on and so forth, that then readily change what the external is.
Yeah, it really changes our landscape completely when we're able to do that. And I tend to find that every practice I bring in, if there's not that internal component, it's not a good practice for me. There has to be some, even in my yoga practice, even when I'm doing Pilates, one of the things I love about it is it's like focused on my core, the core of my being. And so she can be saying whatever she's saying, but that's where I'm focusing. And so even in the typical masculine way of wanting to work out your body, there's still this need for this, in my opinion, this inward focus of connection to the body. Otherwise, you're just working it like it's a secondary item.
So I think you could say integrating it, right?
Yeah.
Integrating it into your being.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for letting me take you through that experience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, Mother Earth was happy for that to come through. That was mostly her.
Yeah. Thank you, Mother Earth. Do you want to tell our listeners where they can reach you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Josh and I offer workshops and retreats in person and online, and do a ton of things together in sacred union with one another in that. And I also do in-person sessions online and on Zoom, or in person and on Zoom. And then I have the New Earth Now School, which is like my passion project right now. And really, it's taking people through all of the different layers of disempowerment that are keeping them from disconnection from the earth. So we started with the body, and then we did money and manifestation, and then we just did community and connection, like relational stuff. We're about to move into religion and spirituality, which is big stuff. But you can go back and catch any of that, or you can join us in that monthly program, and that's at newearthnowschool.com. And then my other website is zenwithinacademy.com.
Awesome.
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 Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I think that's a wrap.